अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज के लेसन में हम अपनी फैमिली के तारफ़ के हवाले से बात करेंगे। तो हमारा सीखने का मकसद या हमारा लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि टू बी एबल टू इंट्रोड्यूस माय फैमिली इन उर्दू, अपनी फैमिली का उर्दू में तारफ़ करवाना। तो सबसे पहले हम अगर अपने ख़ानदान के बारे में सोचें तो इसका एक शजरा नसब होता है। उर्दू में हम कहते हैं मेरा शजरा नसब। किसी को मालूम है कि इसको अंग्रेजी में क्या कहा जाता है? Yeah, that's right. It's my family tree. So a family tree in Urdu is called shajra nasab. And मेरा ख़ानदान means my family. तो अब मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप ज़रा थोड़ा सा सोचें कि आपके ख़ानदान में कौन कौन है. So if you want to start with yourself and you want to use the word me, it's मैं. And that's how it's written, मैं. And then you might want to think about people above you in your family. So who might that be? Walida is your mother. Or walid. Walid यानी कि father. और इनके अलावा, apart from those two, nani would be walida's walida. Walida की walda. यानी कि grandma from your mom's side, your maternal grandma. Or nana. Nana, granddad from your mom's side, your maternal grandfather. और फिर and then दादी. दादी होती हैं आपके वालिद की वालिदा. So grandma from your dad's side, paternal grandmother. और दादा वालिद के वालिद यानी paternal grandfather. Okay, so ये हुए हमारे फैमिली या हमारे ख़ानदान के लोग. वालिदा, वालिद, नानी, नाना, दादी, दादा. और अब आपको ये एक्टिविटी दी जाएगी और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप पिछली शीट को इस्तेमाल करते हुए इन खाली जगहों को पुर कीजिए. Fill in the gaps please using the previous sheet if you want to. Again, if you think you can fill in without that, you've got 2 minutes to try and complete this. Look at the family tree very, very carefully. Do not rush through this. It's slightly tricky here, so make sure you look at each individual animation very, very carefully, please. Okay? So once you've had your 2 minutes, you will then get an opportunity to check your answers. The video can be paused here for 2 minutes. Okay, so you're now ready to check our answers. So सबसे पहले नीचे मैं और I wonder what you put down for A. Interesting. मेरा ख़ानदान मैं और A Nana. Yes, that's right. I hope you haven't just gone by the previous sheet I gave to you, because here I did say it might be slightly tricky. We switched the family members over. So B is Dadi. C, Nani. D, Dada. E, Walida. Or F, Walid. So check your answers carefully, please. What did you get out of 6? If you got full marks, well done. If you didn't, think very carefully about where you might have gone wrong. Okay, then moving on. This is quite an interesting concept, because the first thing you might have heard about introducing yourself is saying me. Me, you know, means I am or me. For both of those words in Urdu, the word me is used. Okay, and the opposite of that is aap, you, with respect, basically. Okay, and then when something belongs to me, I need to ask myself whether it might be masculine, feminine, singular or plural in Urdu. And this is something that we learn through practice. Okay, for example, the word for name in Urdu is naam, and it's considered to be a masculine word. So you'd say mera naam, followed by your name and the word hai at the end. Okay, so that would have mim, ye, re, uske baad alif. You notice alif in red there. So mera naam something hai. And the opposite of that is aapka. Notice that mera naam something hai, aapka naam kya hai. Because the word naam is masculine, you added an alif for mera, and then when you ask somebody else, you add the word ka after aap. Okay? Now, when something is feminine, again, so my something, you start with meri. Okay? And when you ask somebody else for something that's feminine, you use the word ki after aap. A common word for age in Urdu is Umar, which is a feminine word in Urdu. The name is masculine, but the word Umar meaning age is feminine. So you say Mary Umar 15 saal hai, for example. Aapki Umar kya hai? Okay, so Mary and aapki, they go with each other at opposite ends depending on who you're talking about. And the final part is when you're talking about something that's plural or a masculine individual who deserves respect. For example, if you're talking about your father, you would say mere walid. Okay, we don't say mera walid in Urdu. That is considered to be a bit rude. But we say mere walid. Okay, and asking somebody else about their father, you say aapke walid. Okay, and similarly, if you're talking about plurals, you'd drop the alif of mera, and you add the badiye. So mere waldain, meaning both of your parents, or aapke waldain. The badiye is also used in the word mere when you're talking about things that might belong to you. For example, when you're talking about your school, you'd say mere school ka naam and then say the name of your school. Okay, so I hope that is clear to you all. I would suggest that you get a print out of this particular slide we're looking at now. It would be very useful in future as well. Okay, so moving on to a short activity. And these family members that we talked about earlier, I wonder if we can then use that knowledge to try and put them into a context. So for Nana, if you're talking about my Nana, my grandfather, you'd say mere Nana. Okay? And if you're talking about your dad's mom, you'd say meri dadi. So for female individuals, meri ends with a choti ye. For masculines, it ends with a badi ye. Okay, you can show respect to female individuals with the choti ye, but for masculines, you drop the alif to a badi ye to show element of respect. Okay, and that will move us nicely to our next activity. Okay, and I would like you to look at these words very, very carefully and just think about what would you use, mera, meri, or mere. So for nani, what would you use for nani when you're talking about your nani? What about dada? Are you going to use mera, meri, or mere? What about walida and walid? So now that you had the opportunity to think about that, I would like you to have a go at writing either mera, meri, or mere in these gaps, please. Okay? Okay? Again, you have 2 minutes to do this, and the video could be paused at this stage until you had those 2 minutes. Okay, so you had your 2 minutes now, and we are ready to check the answers. The first one we will brought up for you already. It was Meri Nani. Okay, well then if you got that right. What about Dada? Is it Mera, Meri, or Mere? It's Mere Dada. Again, because you deserve respect for your grandparents, and you add Mere. And Meri Walida. Okay, that thing I wanted to be quick to point out, click earlier. So Meri Walida. And then Walid, say Mere Walid. Well then if you got them all right. Okay. Now then, we have some more family members that we could be thinking about this stage. Okay. What about the children? So If it's a son, it's known as beta in Urdu. Beta. And dad, we learned the word walid already for father. Another word we use in Urdu is bap. Okay? Bap or beta. Bap meaning dad and beta, son. Okay? And for daughter, we use the word beti. Beta with an alif at the end for a son. Beti with a choti ye for a daughter. And for mother, we learned the word walida already, but we can also use the word ma, mim, alif, or nun gunna, okay, meaning mum. And then we have siblings. Bahen is your sister, and Bahai is your brother. So beta, bap, ya bap or beta, and then ma or beti, and then Bahen, sister, Bahai, brother. Now for your homework, you can have a go at designing a poster of your family tree and try to include at least 3 generations. Think about how we've learnt those words in Urdu for different family members already. Okay? And it might also be an idea for you to perhaps ask your family members for the names in Urdu. And can you write them in Urdu? Okay? Right, so that's the first bit done. Now, next part of this lesson is a continuation of the first part, and this is where we look at slightly extended family. Okay, and we've got 2 words here, Batija and Bahanji. Okay, what do you think they might mean? Well, if we start with ourselves again, and this time we look at our Bahai. Oh, so if my Bahai has a son, then he would be my Batija. What do you think that means? Well done if you guessed nephew. Okay, Batija. Now in Urdu, we are very specific about relationships between different individuals. So my Bahai, my brother's son, would be my Batija. And my brother's daughter would be my Batiji, my niece. But then when it's my sister's children, the words change slightly. So here I am, मैं और मेरी बहन की बेटी मेरी बहांजी होगी. Okay, notice the word mera for Bahai, and for Batija again mera Batija, and for meri behen, and her daughter is my Bahanji, Meri Bahanji. She is my niece, and her son would be mera Bahanja. Although in English we'd say nephew for our brother's son and for our sister's son, in Urdu it becomes different. If it's my brother's son, it's mera Batija, and if it's my sister's son, it's mera Bahanja. And for niece through my brother, it's Meri Batiji, and my sister's daughter is Meri Bhanji. Now, we have a listening activity here for you. Again, it is advisable to have a printout of this slideshow in front of you, and then I would like you to listen to the following, please. Okay, I'm just going to click on the listening activity now. Okay, here we are, and I shall play that for you. Oops, let me just go back again. I think something came up. Right, it did play earlier. Bear with me a second, please. Oh, that's strange. Right, okay, let's try again then. We'll try and play this for you now. Bear with me a second, please. It's taking a few moments to load it up. Yes, I would like it to open, please. Okay, I hope you heard that clearly. I will play that a second time. And apologies if you did not understand what you needed to do. All I wanted you to do at this stage was read the names very carefully of the different family members and just circle the correct name. So, what's the name of the walida? What's the name of the walid? What's the name of the nani and nana and dadi and dada? Okay. By now, you should be able to use your Urdu reading skills to be able to work out what those names are. Okay, so I'll try and play this again for the second time. Give with me a second, please.
मेरा नाम नादिया है। मेरे दादा का नाम लुकमान है। मेरी वालदा का नाम आमिना है और मेरे वालिद का नाम जुबैर है। मेरी नानी का नाम सफीना है और नाना का नाम हमजा है। मेरी दादी का नाम मरियम है।
Right, okay, so you had a go at listening to that. Again, I'm quite happy for this to be rewinded back if you need to listen to it once more. But for the purpose of the lesson, I'm going to continue now. So let's see if you can check our answers. Okay, so you just have to circle the correct name for each individual. And here we go then. Okay, so the first one, Walida, was called Amina. Well done if you got it right. Dada was called Luqman. Walid was called Zubair. Nani was called Safina. And Nana was called Hamza. Wonder what Dadi was called. Anybody remember? Well done if you circle Maryam. So these were the correct answers there. Okay. Looking at the next part, okay, here you have the text in front of you. And again, it might be worth your while comparing this with the animations of the family tree so that you got the image of each individual. And what I'd like you to do is replace the picture of the person with the actual relationship and then use your previous listening activity to fill in the gaps of the correct names. Okay, so the first sentence is Mera naam Nadia hai or Mere. You look now back at your picture of the family tree and see if you can work out who that is meant to be. And you write the relationship instead of the picture. Okay, and then Unka naam kya hai? You should be able to use your listening activity to be able to complete this task. For this, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I think this requires a bit more thinking in switching between one activity to the next. So you're using your animation of the family tree and your listening activity task that has been completed to try and work out what's meant to be covered here. If you want to, you can write it all out. But if you are able to print this slide in front of you now, that's also very useful to have. Okay, so 5 minutes now then, please. Okay, I hope you had those 5 minutes. If you haven't yet had them, by all means, pause the video now for 5 minutes, please. Okay, and we are going to go through the answers now. So, मेरा नाम नादिया है. मेरे दादा का नाम लुकमान है. Well done if you got that right. मेरी वालिदा का नाम आमिना है और मेरे वालिद का नाम जुबैर है. मेरी नानी का नाम सफीना है और नाना का नाम हमजा है. मेरी दादी का नाम मरियम है. Okay, so now you've been able to look at this example, and it's almost a small paragraph there that you've been able to work through this lesson so far. So from just being able to say mera naam somebody hai, you've now been able to use your knowledge of mera, meri or mere plus your family members to be able to talk about them, and you've been able to give their names. This is very useful to try and apply this to your own family. Okay, remember the element of respect is so important in Urdu. Okay, so what will your task look like? Okay, so Based on this is what the final written format looked like. मेरा नाम नादिया है, मेरे दादा का नाम लुकमान है, मेरी वालदा का नाम आमिना है और मेरे वालिद का नाम जुबैर है. मेरी नानी का नाम सफीना है और नाना का नाम हमसा है. मेरी दादी का नाम मरियम है. Now, what do you think we are going to be doing with this? We'll do a quick read, and I'm sure you can whiz through these simple family members now. All we're going to do is describe who's who, walid, walida, nana, nani, dada, dadi. Of course, you could do that. And mera, meri and mere walid, meri walida, mere dada, meri dadi, mere nana, meri nani. You could do that, right? Now, and then meri behen, or meri dusri behen. So, here's your extension task if you're still in lesson eco at the time, or you could do this as an additional homework. Okay? I'd like you to write a paragraph about your family, include names of people and their relationships to you. I'm more than happy for you to go back to the example of Nadia and use that to try and write about yourself. And it might be worth your while speaking to different family members and asking them to write their names in Urdu. It might be that just one family member can write names of everybody else in Urdu. And if they can't, please email your teacher with the names of your family members and ask your teacher to write those names in Urdu for you and email them back to you. Enjoy your Urdu lessons. It's wonderful. And I look forward to working with you in the next lesson. Take care. Allah Hafiz.